Movie deaths come in all shapes and sizes. Some will make you reach for the tissues, while others will have you laughing at how silly or poorly done they were. But none are quite as entertaining as those that make you stop and say, "Damn, that was badass!" You know the type. Christian Bale chopping off the entirety of Taye Diggs' face with a sword in Equilibrium? Badass. Patrick Swayze ripping out that schmuck's throat in Roadhouse? Super badass. John Hurt giving birth via his chest cavity in Alien? Well, it's gross and iconic, but decidedly not badass. Do you see the difference? Well, that's why I'm here to showcase those who've mastered the art of dying on screen. I'm Jules the Southwest Savage for WhatCulture.com, and this is the 10 most badass movie death scenes of all time. Number 10. The Exploding Shark, Jaws. Jaws is and was the quintessential summer blockbuster and still holds up as an exciting, terrifying disaster movie. It's a testament to the film's overall excellence that, even after witnessing the antagonist shark meet its maker, so many viewers were still afraid to swim in open waters for years after watching this movie. By the end of the film, we'd already gone through the trauma of watching everyone's favourite grizzled sea captain Quint get horrifically devoured by the monstrous shark, and so there was a deep yearning to see this finned fiend fricasseed. So enter Brody's ingenious last-ditch effort, stuffing a scuba tank into the shark's mouth before blasting it with a rifle and thus exploding the shark in a glorious and gorious fashion that was just what the doctor ordered. Number 9. This is from Matilda, Leon the Professional. There's very little about The Professional that isn't badass, whether it be Natalie Portman's stellar breakthrough performance or Gary Oldman's psychotic baddie. Therefore, it's no surprise to note that it contains one badass of an ending. Professional hitman Leon has spent the entire film as 12-year-old Matilda's protector, saving her numerous times but also teaching her to survive for herself. As he comes to her rescue in the close of the film, he's shot by Oldman's unhinged DEA agent, and things look to end on a dour note. However, as he beckons Oldman over, he puts something in his hand and whispers, "This is from Matilda." Oldman unclenches his hands to reveal a grenade pin. And wouldn't you know it, stuffed into Leon's vest is a whole bunch of grenades. In a triumphant cloud of kabooms, the bad guy finally gets his due. Number 8. Mad Dog, The Raid. When you look at actor Yayan Ruhian, you probably don't think of the words Mad Dog. You might think of the words short or haircut, but not Mad Dog. However, that's the name of his character in the Indonesian throat punch of a film, The Raid, and he more than lives up to it. See, this guy here, this unassuming short stack, is a veritable martial arts machine, and his death against the lead Rama and his brother Andy is absolutely dripping with ferocity. After torturing Andy, Rama confronts the dog of ill mental health, and they engage in a fight which contains more punches than a punch bowl filled with punch, but the punch is actually Mike Tyson's fists. After an utterly grueling fight, the brothers finally get the drop on the dog, but it took two very skilled martial artists to bring him to heel. This is not only a choreography masterpiece, but also serves as a stark message not to assume someone's power based on their size alone. Number 7. Thumbs Up, Terminator 2 Judgment Day. If you have a heart, a brain, or a pulse, you probably enjoyed Terminator 2. It's easily the greatest installment of the franchise, and a big reason for that is its expert blend of action, drama, and social commentary. That last part is actually quite easy to forget, especially when you're watching robots fight to the death. But underneath all of the explosions and time travel mythology, there's a very introspective story about human nature and mortality, which is best exemplified by the T-800's self-sacrifice at the end of the film. The best way to protect John Connor is by ensuring that Skynet isn't allowed to happen. And since the T-800 is a product of Skynet, he must destroy himself. The problem is that John has formed an intense bond with this Terminator, and he's not ready to lose his friend and father figure. When John reluctantly says goodbye and the Terminator is being slowly lowered into a pool of molten steel, the moment is both super depressing and inconceivably badass, especially that final thumbs up. Number 6. Inigo Montoya, The Princess Bride. You know the line. Even if you've never seen The Princess Bride, you know that line. Sure, this is a comedy, but that doesn't make this scene any less gratifying. After being stuck with a knife and appearing as though he'll never get revenge against the man who killed his father, the aforementioned line acts as a sort of rallying cry, bringing him from the brink and giving him the strength to battle against the six-fingered man. The dialogue between them is intense. Offer me money. Slash. Power 2. Promise me that. Slice. Offer me everything I ask for. And then, when his enemy relents, offering feebly anything you want and more, he delivers the death blow along with the line, "I want my father back, you son of a bitch." Absolute badass. Number 5. Suicide Dragon Dive. Reign of Fire. All that I've ever wanted is for the phrase "died while trying to bury an axe into the face of a fire-breathing monster" to appear on my tombstone. Anything less would mean that I've gravely disappointed my parents. Well, I mean, disappointed them more, I mean. For those of you who've never seen Reign of Fire, there's actually really only one thing you need to know about the movie. Matthew McConaughey launches himself axe first into a dragon during the movie's final battle and promptly gets swallowed whole. Seriously, Christian Bale might be the leading man of this movie, but you're likely to forget his performance in the face of such ultimate and quite possibly stupid badassery. Number 4. Bill is Killed. Kill Bill Volume 2. So, at the end of Killington Billington II, Beatrix Kiddo has ticked off every other name on her death list except one. Her ex-lover and the mastermind behind the wedding massacre that left her for dead, the one and only Bill. After she executes the 5-point palm exploding heart technique, which is already the most badass sounding name a martial arts move could ever have, Bill awaits his certain death and the two share a tender moment together. Aww, isn't that weird? It's a strange moment which reminds us that they did care for one another a great deal once. But then we remember the wedding day massacre and suddenly his garden shuffle seems much more rewarding. Number 3. Part of The Thing, The Thing. Now excuse me if that intro sounds super vague, but I'll get to it. Sometimes a death scene doesn't need to be all about the build-up, as is proved in John Carpenter's classic remake of The Thing. This film is balls to the walls tension, centering around a group of Antarctic workers who are never sure if the person next to them is a terrifying alien masquerading as their friends. The Thing is a perfect predator, often hiding in plain sight, while in other instances biding its time until the most opportune moment. Now this death scene is odd, as it's not really the death of the Thing itself, but one of its many extensions. After Norris seemingly suffers a heart attack, Dr. Cooper attempts to revive him, only to have his arm significantly shortened by a chest mouth which could quite frankly do with a good floss. As Norris's body begins to mutate, we are subject to some of the best animatronic work in cinema history, and it's utterly terrifying. Just look at this thing. It's almost like a checklist of what will burrow into your fear and disgust reflexes. As it goes up in flames, we can see another segment drop off and attempt to scurry away. Even though this too eats flames for dinners, we can't help but feel completely overpowered by what this thing actually is. And that thing was badass. Number 2. Say Hello, Scarface. This scene, it's got everything you need from a badass ending and more. The awesome setting, the amount of blood, and the amazingly loud shirts. Sousa's men are out for revenge and assault Tony's mansion en masse. After gunning down his guards, they position themselves outside the Cocaine King's office. And what follows next is the perfect visual metaphor for outnumbered but never outgunned, as Tony picks up an M16 complete with a fashionable grenade launcher and blasts his way back out. After taking multiple bullets and screaming for more punishment, it takes a double barrel from what looks like the Terminator to finish him off. As he falls into the pool and tinges the water with his blood, we're left thinking about how amazing that ending was. True, he was a deplorable man, but in some ways, we all still wished he'd survived. And number 1, Boromir, The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. To date, Sean Bean has racked up at least 25 on-screen deaths. The guy is an absolute pro at dying. We could easily make a list of his best deaths, hint hint, but ultimately it has to be Boromir's. He essentially reenacts the Black Knight's flesh wound scene from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, but with a tad more drama. Boromir takes 3 arrows to the chest, but continues to wreak havoc on the pack of orcs, all the while defending Merry and Pippin until his final breath. When the first arrow strikes his heart, you would rightly assume that that's the end of poor Boromir, but no, he continues slashing and stabbing his way through the orcs. After the second arrow lodges its way into his stomach, you think, okay, you're done now, but it's almost like the damn things are giving him more power. Even after the third and final piercing, he refuses to lay down and die. That, my friends, is one badass warrior. And that's our list. Got any more badass deaths you'd like to share? Well, let us know about them in the comments section below. And if you want to come see the death of comedy, then you can follow me on Twitter at RetroJ with a 0. As always, I've been Jules for WhatCulture.com, and I'll speak to you soon.